real quick before I get into the talk about who's going to win their conference championship and all that, I want to talk about a game from this weekend that was just awesome. And that was Bedlam. Oklahoma State. That was a fun game to watch. It was exciting. It had a good offense play at some moments. It had great defensive plays at some moments. And that was Lincoln Riley's last game as the head coach of Oklahoma, which, if you told me before the game, I would not have believed you. But here we are, and man, it was a great game, and you look at with where Oklahoma State is at now. They're in a position to go to the college football playoffs after beating Oklahoma. They beat Baylor, and Alabama loses to Georgia. They have a pretty good case to jump Notre Dame and make it into that playoffs. So here's how I'm going to look at this past game is Oklahoma's defense was really good, and same with Oklahoma State's in the second half. First half, it was a bit more bedlam. It was back and forth, some offense points. Oklahoma State got a big kickoff return for a touchdown, and it was all even at half. But then, after halftime, we saw a couple things happen bad for Oklahoma State. The safety that put Oklahoma up 26-24. Then the muff punt for a touchdown that put Oklahoma up 33-24. Then a missed kick, a pick, a lot of stuff happened. And then all of a sudden, Oklahoma State scores a touchdown. It's now 33-31. And then Oklahoma State scores again. Now, after a questionable no call on the unsportsmanlike conduct on, I believe it was number 16 Oklahoma State, kind of finishing the play a little late on the Oklahoma running back, could have been called, probably should have been called, was no called. Oklahoma State then gets a touchdown. They go for two to make it 39-33, but they don't get it, so it's 37-33. Oklahoma needs a touchdown. On Oklahoma's final drive, a great play by Caleb Williams to get them position, and then follows up with a questionable no-call and pass interference in the end zone. And that had people saying, well, this is the Big 12 game back in Oklahoma for leaving for the SEC, and I don't believe that. I don't believe that they would do that. The allegations and lawsuits that would come out of that, if that were to happen, would be enormous. That's not something a conference would risk. Now, they're happy Oklahoma State won, most likely. They're really happy that Oklahoma or Texas is not in the Big 12 conference. They're probably celebrating that Texas has had this bad of a season. But that's not why Oklahoma lost this game. They lost it because they made some bad errors. They muffed a punt that Oklahoma State punted, and that's what gave Oklahoma State the game-winning touchdown. There was stuff that happened that Oklahoma messed up, and you can't blame officials for everything. One of my things I hate the most is when people go, well, it's the officials, that's why we lost. Officials. My number one rule is, if you are put in a position to blame the officials for losing, you didn't deserve to win because you didn't win the game. Now, are there questionable calls in every game? Absolutely. Will I get angry if my team doesn't get a call that goes its way? Yes, I do. I'm a fan. It's what fans do. But afterwards, I can sit back and be like, okay, that wasn't the reason they lost. And I think it's important to keep in mind, the reason Oklahoma lost was not because of those penalties. Did they play a factor? Yes, but they're not the main reason. Oklahoma had its chances to pull the game away. They had their chances of holding the lead, and they couldn't do it. Oklahoma State took advantage of those miscues, and they won in the end. Now we got Oklahoma State versus Baylor in the Big 12 championship because of it.